My phone buzzed on the kitchen counter at 9:47 on a Tuesday night. I was rinsing a coffee mug, half watching a game on the small TV in the corner. I figured it was just another notification. Bills, spam, nothing that mattered. I dried my hands and picked it up. It was our family group chat, the one my mom started years ago, back when my dad was still alive. The one with all of us, me, my two sisters, my mom, even my Aunt Carol, who never says anything but reads everything. I opened it and my stomach dropped. You have been removed from family forever. I stared at the screen like it was written in another language. I read it 3 times. I actually laughed because it felt like some kind of glitch, some app error. Then a text came through, just from her, just from Mom. Don't come back, son. 4 words, no explanation, no missed call before it, just that. My hands were shaking by the time I set the phone down. I hadn't done anything, or at least nothing I knew about. I had no idea that in less than 4 hours, at exactly 1:12 in the morning, my phone would ring again, and everything I thought I understood about my family would fall apart. I sat down at the kitchen table and just stared at my phone. I kept refreshing the group chat like maybe it would fix itself, like maybe this was some kind of joke my sister Amanda would pull. She'd done stuff like that before, back in high school. But this didn't feel like a joke. It felt final. I called my mom, straight to voicemail. I called my older sister, Denise, same thing. I texted Amanda, "What is going on?" 3 question marks. I never do that. But nobody answered. My mind went back to Sunday, 2 days before. We'd had dinner together, all of us, at Mom's place, like we did most weekends since Dad passed. Nothing seemed wrong. Mom made her pot roast, Denise brought her kids. Amanda was quiet, but Amanda's always quiet lately since her divorce. I remembered Mom hugging me goodbye at the door. She held on a little longer than usual. I remember thinking it was nice. Now I couldn't stop replaying it, searching her face in my memory for something I missed, a warning, a crack in the surface. Whatever this was, it didn't start tonight. Something had been building, and somehow I was the only one who didn't see it coming. I grabbed my jacket. I don't even remember deciding to do it. I just found myself putting my shoes on and grabbing my keys. Mom's house was 15 minutes away, the same house I grew up in, the one with the crooked mailbox my dad never got around to fixing. The porch light was off when I pulled up. That never happened. Mom always left it on, every night, like a lighthouse for anyone who needed it. Seeing it dark made my chest tighten in a way I didn't like. I knocked. No answer. I knocked again, harder. I heard footsteps, slow ones. Then the door cracked open, just enough for me to see her face. My mom. But she looked different. Her eyes were red, like she'd been crying for hours, and there was something else in her expression, something I'd never seen from her before. Fear. "Mom, what's going on? Why would you—" "You need to leave, Michael." Her voice was flat, cold, nothing like the woman who used to sing to me when I was sick as a kid. "Just tell me what I did, please." She looked over her shoulder, back into the house, like she was checking if someone was listening. Then she looked back at me. "You know exactly what you did," she whispered, and she shut the door. I stood on that porch for a long time, not moving, feeling like the ground had shifted under me. I drove home in a daze. The streets were empty, streetlights blurring past the windshield. Her words kept looping in my head. "You know exactly what you did." I ran through everything, every conversation, every argument, every mistake I'd made in the last year. Nothing fit. Nothing was big enough to explain a locked door and a mother who looked at me like a stranger. Back at my apartment, I sat on the edge of my bed, still in my jacket. My phone buzzed. It was Amanda.
"Don't call Mom right now. Just don't. Please." "Amanda, what happened? Tell me something." 3 dots appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again. It's not my place to say. I'm sorry, Mike. I really am. That word, sorry, hit harder than anything else that night. Like she already knew this wasn't going to get fixed easy. I tried Denise next. She picked up finally, but her voice was tight, guarded. Denise, please, just tell me what's going on. Someone showed Mom something. A screenshot of a conversation. What conversation? Whose? There was a long pause, long enough that I thought the call dropped. Yours, she finally said. Except, Mike, I don't think it was really you. Then the line went dead. I looked at my phone screen, my own reflection staring back at me in the black glass, and for the first time that night, I felt truly afraid. I called Denise back 4 times, straight to voicemail every time. I paced my apartment, phone gripped so tight my knuckles ached. Someone showed Mom something, a screenshot, except I don't think it was really you. None of it made sense. I hadn't sent anyone anything. I barely texted outside the family chat and a few coworkers. My whole life was routine. Work at the warehouse, gym on Tuesdays and Thursdays, dinner with Mom on Sundays. I didn't have secrets. I didn't have anything to hide. Unless somebody made something up. I sat down and opened my own messages, scrolling back through everything, searching for anything that could be twisted, screenshotted, taken out of context. Nothing stood out. Then I noticed something strange. My contact photo on one of my old accounts had been changed. I hadn't touched it in months. A cold feeling crawled up my spine. I opened my email next and saw an alert from 3 days earlier. A device I didn't recognize, a location I'd never been to, somewhere upstate, hours from where I lived. Someone had gotten into one of my accounts. I sat there frozen, staring at the screen, trying to piece together who would want to do this to me and why. Then a memory surfaced, something I'd almost forgotten, a conversation with my cousin Tyler a few weeks back. He asked me, almost too casually, if I still used my old email password for everything. I hadn't thought anything of it at the time. Now, I couldn't stop thinking about it. I didn't sleep. I sat at my kitchen table with my laptop open, going through account after account, trying to figure out what had been touched. My hands were cold, even though the apartment wasn't. Every few minutes, I'd glance at my phone, hoping Denise would call back, hoping someone would just explain this to me in plain words. Around midnight, I texted Tyler. Just one line. Did you do something to my accounts? He left me on read. The little red notation just sat there under my message like a slap. That told me more than any explanation could have. Tyler and I grew up close, more like brothers than cousins, especially after his parents split when we were teenagers and he practically lived at our house some summers. My mom always had a soft spot for him, maybe too soft. She never saw the parts of him I saw, the way he borrowed money and never paid it back, the way he always had an excuse ready before you even asked. Last year, he asked me to co-sign a loan. I said no. He didn't take it well. We hadn't talked much since, just polite nods at family gatherings, nothing more. I stared at that read receipt and felt something shift in my chest, not just fear anymore. Anger starting to simmer underneath it.
If Tyler had done something, if he'd built some kind of lie convincing enough to make my own mother lock her door on me, I needed proof, not accusations. Proof. I opened my laptop again, and I started digging, for real this time. I found the login history buried in my email security settings. A device, an IP address, a timestamp from 3 days ago at 2:47 in the morning. I copied everything down in a note on my phone, my hands moving faster than my thoughts. Then I remembered something. Back in the spring, Tyler had stayed at my place for a weekend while his apartment got fumigated. He'd used my laptop once, just to check something, he said. I hadn't thought twice about it. I trusted him. That trust felt like a joke now. I pulled up my old email account, one I'd barely used anymore, tied to a fake social media profile I'd made it years ago as a joke with a buddy from work. Nothing bad, just dumb pictures making fun of our boss. I hadn't logged into it in over a year. It had been accessed too, same night, Same strange IP address. My stomach turned as I clicked into the sent folder. There were messages I never wrote, cruel ones, cutting ones, aimed at people in my family, including things about my mom that I would never, ever say. Not in a joking way, not in a fight, not ever. Whoever wrote them had used my name, my photo, my voice, twisted just enough to sound believable if you didn't look too closely. Someone had built a version of me designed to destroy everything I actually was. I read every message twice, feeling sick each time. Whoever sent them knew exactly what would hurt the most. Comments about mom always favoring the others, cruel jokes about dad's death, about money, about Denise's kids, things designed to sound like private venting, the kind of ugly thoughts a person might have but never say out loud, let alone to family. If I hadn't known for a fact I never wrote them, I might have believed it myself. I screenshotted everything. The login times, the IP address, the messages, the dates. I built a timeline on a notepad, laying it out like evidence, because that's exactly what it was. Then I checked something else. The IP address matched a location near Albany. I didn't know anyone up there. Except Tyler did. His girlfriend's family lived outside Albany. He'd mentioned visiting them a few weekends back, right around the same dates as the login. It wasn't proof by itself, but it wasn't nothing either. At 12:50 in the morning, I texted Denise everything. The screenshots, the timeline, the location match. I told her I didn't do this, and I told her I thought I knew who did. She read it immediately this time. 3 dots appeared, then stopped, then appeared again. Finally, one message came through. Mike, call me right now. My phone rang half a second later, and I answered before the first ring even finished. I believe you, Denise said before I got a word out. Her voice was shaking. I never wanted to believe it in the first place, but Mom was so upset, and the messages looked so real, and... Denise, who showed her this stuff? Silence on the line. Then quietly, Tyler did. My chest went tight, even though some part of me had already known. She explained it fast, like she needed to get it out before she lost her nerve. Tyler had come to Mom 2 days ago saying he was worried, saying he'd found this fake account and didn't want to believe it was me, but the messages, the photo, everything lined up. He played the concerned family member perfectly. Mom, still grieving Dad, still trying to hold what was left of the family together, panicked. She didn't call me first because Tyler convinced her I'd just deny it, manipulate her, make her doubt herself. He'd planned for that too. He's been asking me for money again, last month. I said no. Right after that, this whole thing started. It clicked into place like puzzle pieces finally facing the right way. Tyler needed something from this family, and somehow destroying my place in it served him. Maybe distraction, maybe he thought with me gone, Mom would lean on him instead, financially, emotionally, however he needed her to. We have to show Mom everything, tonight, before this goes further, Denise said. I looked at the clock. 1:04 in the morning.
Denise says she'd call Mom right now, wake her up if she had to, and put me on speaker. I told her to give me 8 minutes. I needed to get back over there in person. Some things can't be fixed through a phone screen, not after a door had been shut in my face like that. I grabbed my keys again, laptop bag slung over my shoulder with every screenshot, every timestamp, every piece of proof saved and backed up twice. The drive felt different this time, not hopeless, just heavy. My heart pounding the whole way, rehearsing what I'd say. Knowing words alone probably wouldn't be enough. I'd need to show her, let her see it with her own eyes. I pulled up to the house at 1:11. The porch light was on now. Denise's car was already in the driveway. She must have driven straight over the second she hung up with me. I walked up those same steps, feeling like a different person than I had 6 hours earlier. My phone buzzed in my pocket right as I reached the door. 1:12 exactly. I glanced at the screen. Unknown number. A voicemail already sitting there, like whoever called it hung up right as it picked up. I didn't have time to listen. Not yet. I knocked on the door, and this time Denise opened it, her eyes red. Mom standing behind her in the hallway, phone in her hand, staring at me like she didn't know whether to cry or apologize first. "Show me," Mom said, her voice cracking. No hello, no accusations, just that. I sat down at the kitchen table, the same table I'd eaten 1,000 meals at growing up, and opened my laptop. I walked her through it slow, like she'd asked. The login alert, the strange IP address near Albany, the fake account I hadn't touched in over a year, suddenly active at 2:47 in the morning 3 nights ago. The messages I never wrote laid out next to the timeline of Tyler's visit to his girlfriend's family that same weekend. I watched her face change with every piece. Confusion, then recognition, then something that looked like grief all over again, a different kind this time. "He sat right here," she whispered, touching the chair beside her. "He said he didn't want to believe it either. He said he was protecting the family." "He was protecting himself," Denise said quietly. Mom's hands were shaking as she scrolled through the screenshots herself, reading the cruel words attached to my name, words about her, about Dad, things I'd never say in 1,000 years. I saw the moment it broke something in her, the moment she understood how close she'd come to losing me over a lie built by someone she trusted like a son. "I'm so sorry," she said, and she reached for my hand across the table, gripping it the way she used to when I was small and scared of thunderstorms. I finally pulled out my phone and played the voicemail from 112. It was Tyler's voice, slurred, panicked, admitting everything to what he thought was Denise's number. Mom's hand tightened around mine as Tyler's voice filled the kitchen, thick and stumbling, clearly a few drinks deep. He must have butt-dialed Denise's old number, saved wrong in his phone after she'd changed carriers last year. He didn't know he was confessing to anyone. He thought he was just talking to himself, working through his guilt out loud. "I didn't mean for it to go this far. I just needed her to trust me again. I needed the money. Mike had it easy. He always did. And I panicked. And then it just kept going." Mom pressed her free hand over her mouth, eyes filling with tears again, but different tears this time. Not grief for what she thought I'd done, grief for how easily she'd been turned against her own son. "I'm calling him," she said, reaching for her phone. "Not tonight," I said gently. "Let the truth sit. Let Denise and I handle it the right way tomorrow, with everything laid out, so there's no room left for him to twist anything." She nodded, wiping her eyes, then pulled me into a hug right there at the table, the kind of hug that says more than any apology ever could. "You're my son. Nothing takes that away. Not lies, not distance, nothing." I sat there holding on to her, feeling something settle back into place after the longest night of my life. Family isn't broken by lies. It's proven by who stays long enough to find the truth.